What's up, guys? This is Nifra, and you're watching my YouTube channel. I promised you that I will create a walkthrough of how I made my track Resistance, so here it is. If you want to know how I made it, then just keep on watching. Hey guys, this is Nifra, and you're watching my walkthrough of my track Resistance that was released a little bit over a week ago on Coal Harbor Recordings, and yeah, it was basically exclusive on my Follow Me To compilation, and I premiered it for the first time at the ASOT studio during my guest mix in October last year. And what was funny was that nobody heard the track at that time when I played it. Like, not even my label, my boyfriend. Um, I was working on it secretly, and sometimes I just like to surprise people. So it was funny to see the reactions. We were laughing there in the studio with Ruben and Fisherman because of that. Anyways, I promised you guys that I will show you how I made this track. It's something I never did before, especially when it comes to the groove. Of course, stabs you heard in my tracks before, but such a bassy kind of groovy drop I never did before, and it really needed some tweaking because getting the sounds right, of course, is the one thing that takes the longest, especially for me. And once you get all the channels right, all the sounds talking to each other, then the magic happens. So it's basically a 132 BPM high energy trancer, and the track is made in G minor. As you know, especially those who are a little bit into the production back in the day when EDM was huge, they mostly were using G minor key because the pitch of the bass is just perfect. It's not too high and it's not too low. And especially for tracks like this, it sounds really good. So I managed to achieve this kind of sound, which I was really hoping to. So as we're going into the main groove, sounds something like this. And what I have here is actually kick, obviously, which is, I use two samples for it. One high one, just for the click, and a one low. And here I have, of course, a sidechain playing exactly the same, just muted for the sidechain compressor to be triggered. So it's a ghost channel. And one more we have here, a bass line, which I have from Spire. I have a little bit of EQing, completely mono. A little bit of limiting, and of course Sidechain Compressor, which, like I said, is triggered by the ghost channel. And a stab, which is from Serum. Serum is really, really good, powerful synth, especially for sounds like this. I literally have one layer of this. I don't even need more. It's one layer. Let me just zoom out. And it sounds pretty huge. What I have on it is OTT to make it a little bit more crispier and sit a little bit better there. Reverb, S1 Imager, which I use a lot to make the sound a little bit wider, since it's one of the main elements. Of course, filtering out the low. And I have a volume shaper, which was that was the first sidechain that I used, and I felt like it was not enough, so I kind of wanted something more to make it a little bit tighter there, so I added a Sidechain Compressor, and let me show you how it sounds with it and without it. So as you can hear, it's a little bit too much all over the place, which I didn't like, and so yeah, 2 compressors. There's no rule, so nice tight sound. And just a small drum roll here for the effect. And I have quite a big effect section with all the white noises, crashes, risers, everything is there. And let me just add, I actually cleaned this project before I started this tutorial, because my projects are quite messy sometimes, and only I can, decipher what is what. So I cleaned it a little bit. It looks much better for you guys. So I hope it is easy to understand what I'm showing you. And yeah, in the next section, we're actually adding some more drums. This is the drum group, creating movement here. Nothing special on the channels, actually, just a sidechain compressor where I need it, EQ where I need it. As you can see, I had a volume shaper, but I decided to use a sidechain compressor with the same settings on every channel. I think it helps to make the track tighter and more cohesive. And I also have, I'm rolling out the lows on the whole drum section, and I have a little bit of EQing, and I'm using Redux here for the bit crush. Actually, let me play the full section here, the full group. That's at the end of the groove for a little bit of effect. And as we're approaching second part, the third part actually, of the groove, I'm adding one more bass line, which is a typical Nifra saw bass with a low cut, because we already have this bass line here. We already have this bass line here, which is doing the job, and we don't want any mess in the low. And I'm also using automation here on the full bass section, opening it up a little bit. And a very high bass line, which is completely has no low whatsoever, and it's just to create a movement. And I'm also finally introducing a little bit of the melody with the root note. I don't know, this moment I really like in a track when you have just the root note playing with the melody, no bass change. There is a little bit of bass change, but it's not really nothing huge here. And just make everything super rolling, and oh, I love when I can just give the track energy in every section of the track. You know, we producers, we are sometimes thinking more about the blocks, you know, like this is the groove block, this is it, this is the second part of the groove block. And I just always make sure that everything has energy. At least that's important to me. You always need to introduce something new. And yeah, in this part I'm also having a little bit of white noise to fill it up even more. And of course with the Sidechain Compressor. Like I said, every single channel has probably Sidechain on it to create space. And as we're approaching the breakdown, I'm filtering out the stab. And we have some pads over here with an atmospheric sound. This is actually from Dave Parkinson bank. I got sent this bank some time ago and I really like it. Really good job with it, Dave. I also use a lot of Kashmir and some techno samples in here, especially here in the drums. It's kind of techno driven group. And in this part of the breakdown, I have just a saw bass line with the disabled filter to give it some bass. And just basically building everything towards the big reveal of the melody, which is coming now. And this is the big main lead layer, which is gonna give me some troubles, so I'll just stop here. I have a couple of spires, as you can see, and this is actually my old MacBook Pro, which I used till last year, and a couple of months ago I got a new one, the 16-inch, which would handle this project perfectly for this tutorial, but because it was shipped with Catalina, unfortunately some of the plugins are not working right now and probably won't even work, as I was already doing my research. Some plugin companies are not planning to do the big upgrade, so few things would be not playing on this one, and I just wanted to show you the actual full project. So we have a couple of layers of leads with EQ on. Everywhere I'm filtering all the lows. This is the one that is the absolute main one. Has a little bit of saturation on. Of course, every single one has the same compressor settings. And together it just creates this huge lead, which I really like. And I have also some EQ here on the actual group, just to catch everything what needs to be removed and make this space for the bass. I have also a couple of atmospheric synth shots, some very dark ones. Just creates some extra darkness. And of course, starting to build everything out. Okay, I'm gonna skip this part because it's getting out of hand. And let's go to the part right before the drop. I have a couple of drum rolls in here. And just building everything towards. And sometimes you need couple just to create a little bit more tension. I find that one is never enough. One drum roll is never enough. So just find some samples that fit together. Make sure to EQ them as well. And right before the drop, I am introducing the last part of the melody, which I think always works really nicely in a track, and it just prepares the listener for the big thing. So yeah, I absolutely love how the drop turned out. If you're playing a track and it puts you in a certain euphoria, that's the best thing there is, and that's what I usually go for. It needs to put me in a certain I don't know if you guys understand me. Yeah, so in the second part of the drop, I'm adding more drums, of course, and let's see the bass line. Yeah, the bass line is quite filtered. Just making sure that we don't really have any harmonics in here. We want the leads to stand out, so not messing up with any harmonics from the other bass which had before. And here adding also the pad and the block. Actually, I was checking some comments under a video somewhere, and somebody wrote like, nice but very similar to Attack. Like, this track has nothing from Attack. I mean, not a single sample or a melody or whatever. I mean, this track is completely new from scratch, so I don't know what can it be similar, but I was also part of the production process, so obviously it's my signature sound there as well. And what do you want? I mean, if you like somebody's music, I hear some producers that never change a template for maybe 2-3 years, but I don't think this is the case anyways. And of course, I also read something like, oh, another producer who doesn't produce her tracks. Like, come on, aren't you guys getting tired already of that? Just repeating the same stuff. Anyways, let's go to the bridge. And here I'm actually filtering everything out and going back into the groove. In my opinion, every part of the track needs to be interesting. It doesn't matter whether it's groove or a drop or a breakdown. Every single part needs to be interesting, and especially the grooves need to stand on their own, in my opinion. That's how I at least make my tracks. So yeah, that's it. I'm just continuing, adding more stuff here. It is very techy groove. Really happy how this track turned out. And I also had a question. I think I showed it already in my previous tutorial, which was the Marcus Schultz remix. But there was a question about my master chain, or how I master my tracks. Well, I don't. I always start with my master chain, which is the good old T-Rex. I'm using a couple of T-Rex classic plugins. Here I have a little bit of EQ and Pro L at the end. And I'm always aiming for -6, -7, somewhere here of RMS. I just like my tracks loud. I'm not gonna lie. I just like it. So, and as I produce, obviously, I go and clean up everything. I make sure that everything sounds right in my head. So that's how I master my tracks. So, not really. I master as I go. And a little small effect I have here on the master is also the Endless Smile by Dead Alive. I have it here a little bit before the big melody reveal, just for a little bit of tension. Nothing crazy. And that's about it. So if you guys like the track, please go and get it on Beatport or iTunes or just wherever you want. Thank you for the support. I mean, I had so many amazing comments on this track, and yeah, more is coming. I'm actually working on my artist album right now, so quite busy with all the Twitch streaming and radio show and producing and everything. So always working, and thank you guys so much for your support. And if you enjoyed this tutorial or walkthrough, just subscribe or give me a thumb up. And if you have any questions, also write them in the comments. I will make sure to reply. So, see you guys.